All right, be seated. All right, your next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Hughes, did there come a time when you conducted a forensic psychological evaluation of Amber Heard? And please tell the jury what a forensic psychological evaluation is.
Sure.
Can you turn it on at the bottom base?
Okay. A forensic psychological evaluation is an evaluation that is conducted for the courts to answer a particular legal question. It contains multiple parts. Ms. Heard is not a client of mine. She's never been in therapy with me. She's not under my clinical care. It is an objective evaluation to determine a particular legal question. Forensic evaluation follows a methodology that what we say it's a multi-method, multi-hypothesis-driven methodology, which means I look at a variety of different documents and data using multiple hypotheses. It's not just one hypothesis, one theory of the case. You're going in looking to see, what possibly could be going on here. And then you use the data to arrive at that opinion. You look for consistency across the data to arrive at that opinion. And the forensic psychological evaluation has many parts. It has the clinical interview part, a structured or semi-structured clinical interview where I'm asking Ms. Heard lots of things about her life, both before Mr. Depp and after. It involves a psychological testing component of the evaluation, which allows me to do a good broad scan of different symptomatologies that people might have in their lives, as well as to have indicators of how she approached the test. Is she defensive? Is she malingering? Is she feigning? Is she exaggerating? It gives me indications about how she approached the evaluation. I review a number of documents, medical records, psychological records, the text, the audio, all the different things that we've had in this case, and then I conduct collateral interviews.
So, Dr. Hughes, just to be clear, do you assume everything the victim reports is true when you conduct these examinations?
No, of course not. I always approach a forensic evaluation with a healthy dose of skepticism. With any forensic evaluation, there exists a motivation that the individual may be telling you something that is not accurate. It doesn't mean that that's there, but you have to control for that and know that you're looking for, again, what does the data tell you, the external data, about what the person is also telling you.
Did the forensic evaluation follow a standard methodology, or was it specific to Ms. Heard?
No, this is my standard methodology that I would use with any individual who's in a forensic matter, and I would just call to evaluate them.
When did you meet with Amber Heard?
Okay, so I met with Ms. Heard for a total of about 29 hours. I met with her for the first time in September 2019. I saw her for 4 visits in my New York City office. That's about 21, 22 hours. And then I saw her twice over Zoom. One was in January 2021. And
New approach, okay.
Dr. Curry, in answering that question, were you consulting anything?
Dr. Hughes.
Dr. I'm so sorry. Dr. Hughes, were you consulting anything? Dr. Curry's here, I guess, as well. That's what confusion I saw.
I'm consulting my cheat sheet of the dates that I saw Ms. Heard so that I could accurately report to the court. I also have my final designation in front of me so that I could give the most accurate information to what I put in that report.
Okay. And do you want to see that? Okay, should we just take the break now and have him look at it, or does he want to?
Would you like to look at it now or before cross?
It's just to post it.
Happy to look at it.
Okay, before cross examination.
Okay,
All right, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, please continue. I think you were telling us when you saw Ms. Heard.
Sure. So there were 4 dates in person in New York City for a total of about 21 and a half hours. And then I saw her in January 18th, 2021 over Zoom for 3 hours, and then December 27th, 2021 for 4 hours over Zoom.
And what did the evaluation consist of?
So as I stated, the evaluation consisted of psychological testing, a semi-structured clinical interview with Ms. Heard, a review of a whole host of documents relative to this case and medical records and psychological records, and then 3 collateral interviews, 2 with her treating therapist, Dr. Bonnie Jacobs, Dr. Connell Cohen, and also with her mom.
And in the semi-structured clinical interview, what were you assessing?
Well, when someone comes in for the evaluation, you sometimes don't know what you're going to see or what you're going to get. So you absolutely have to do a full clinical interview and have a sense of their life patterns, things that have affected them in their lives, you know, where they have worked, where they have lived, just get a full sense of their sort of being before the incident for which they're talking about. Then I do a full intimate partner violence assessment, looking at all those characteristics that I talked to you about earlier, to get a sense of the full structure of and the dynamic of this relationship. I also did looking at what were the effects, what were the psychological consequences of being in that relationship. And I also looked at the psychological consequences of some of the statements that were made by Mr. Depp through his attorney that are part of this, the counterclaim in this lawsuit.
At the end of that process, considering all the data, did you arrive at any expert opinions?
Yes, I did.
All right, I would like to start with your main expert opinions and then go through those. Can you please tell the jury what your main opinions were?
So like I said, there are opinions embedded within them, but the main opinion is that Ms. Heard's report of intimate partner violence and the records that I reviewed is consistent with what we know in the field about intimate partner violence, characterized by physical violence, psychological aggression, sexual violence, coercive control, and surveillance behaviors.
And what was the other main opinion that you had?
The second main opinion was that that Ms. Heard demonstrated very clear psychological and traumatic effects or the exacerbation of trauma from those statements that Mr. Depp made through his attorney. There were 3 statements that we evaluated to see how they affected her emotionally and psychologically. And it was my determination that they did.
And did you arrive at any diagnostic conclusions?
Yes, I did.
And what were those?
I diagnosed Ms. Heard with post-traumatic stress disorder.
And what, if any, etiology was associated with the post-traumatic stress disorder?
So the etiology is the cause. In order to meet criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder, you have to have an actual cause. It's one of the few diagnostic entities that we have to have a cause for. And the cause was the intimate partner violence by Mr. Depp. That was what was pushing the symptoms. That was what's related to the intrusive phenomena. That was related to her avoidance. That was related to her differences in her mood. That was related to her avoidance efforts. So it was the cause was the intimate partner violence by Mr. Depp.
Okay. Now, let's first go back to the forensic evaluation. You mentioned you reviewed documents. What documents did you review?
So I'm going to refer to my list of documents so that I can be clear for you all. It is a 4-page.
All right. If you want to approach.